So what kind of person would you say Austin was?
Austin was a beautiful person who had many talents and gifts, and just he was God-fearing. He loved the Lord. He loved gospel music. He just loved to do things for people. He just was a really good kid.
And how much would you like to spend on it? 40, 50, 60? There is a $10 Overdose.
What was Austin's addiction, and how old was he when he passed?
Austin's addiction was heroin, crack cocaine, alcohol, benzos, and he was 25 years old when he passed. And August 3rd of 2016.
What was it like for you dealing with the loss of your son, especially as someone who struggled with drug addiction herself?
The loss was really hard. It was shocking, very emotional for me, really hard to get through at times. I sat on a couch for 8 months being very depressed, asking God, why did you take my son?
Good. Good, Mom. You want to tape it?
Yeah, but should we tape it on the bigger part?
Yeah. So did Austin deal with overdoses or other effects from this drug before he had a fatal occurrence with the drug?
Yes, he had 9 overdoses before he died on the 10th overdose.
Oh, and what are your experiences, battling addiction yourself to these kind of, drugs that just take a grip on people? What is your experience? What have you witnessed recently from addiction?
My experience is that I have learned that overdose can happen at any time. I've overdosed many times myself, and I just see everybody overdosing out there. They don't realize how potent the drug is, and people are dropping like flies from the drug itself. It's a terrible thing. But you have to learn about Narcan so you can have it on you and be prepared to Narcan people. And sometimes it can take up to 6 Narcans to get someone back.
Well, we gonna let it go?
Yeah, I want to let it go. You want to tie it there?
No, that's good. That's good. Let's go. No, let's
go.
Let's. I gotta make sure it's because it's you documenting. So, all right, you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, bro!
Oh no.
It went into the tree. Yo!
Oh no. Come loose, let it go, Lord.
Yay!
Okay, awesome.
Woo! That's the struggle right there. We born into the struggle and we break free and we go into death and freedom. Freedom of the afterlife. Look at that. That's resiliency right there.
God knew he wanted out of the tree. There it goes.
Wow. Nice. I had it zoomed in. I don't think we know the extent of what this drug addiction is doing. Each and every day, lives are being taken by drug addiction in Massachusetts alone. Countless lives being affected by drug addiction in their families and households. 5 people dying each and every single day in Massachusetts alone from drug overdoses. And what are we doing to spread the awareness? I don't think we're doing enough. Now, I just have a couple more questions for you. Thank you for being such a great sport, participating in this interview. What have you had any close calls with this drug, and what have you learned from the struggle with addiction?
I've had many close calls. I've overdosed various times. I don't know what the count is, but yeah, it's been really hard for me. I don't know, I just try to do what I can to stay clean. I want to stay clean for my other son. I want to be there for him. So I'm doing all I can to go to meetings, just learn what my triggers are, to stay away from all the drug addicts and drug dealers, just keep my mind occupied with other stuff, go for treatment, do what I need to do, because I don't want to die, and leave him alone.
So it's been 3 years since Austin has passed away from overdose. What kind of hope would you offer to someone that is either dealing with addiction themselves or has a family or loved one dealing with addiction? What kind of hope would you offer them?
I could tell them that they can change, that things can get better, that, like I said, life can be good sober, but they gotta want it. You can't make someone do it, but I can tell them there's always a better way, that you'll feel better, you'll be healthier, you won't die on the streets, that you don't want to put your parents through a death of a child to lose their mother, a father, or uncle, or anyone. There's always hope.
Like who Austin was as a person?
Austin was a good dude. He was cool, but he was on something he shouldn't have been on. If he wasn't on drugs, he'd still be alive today. Look at me, I've been clean since 2012. I'm doing good. I try to help people out there that hurt them, you know what I mean? But everybody don't want to be clean. But Austin was a good dude. His mother's got a beautiful mother, got a beautiful brother. You know what I mean? Take it, man. He's a very good person.
What would you say to others who may have lost a son to overdose addiction?
What I would say to them is, if I could, if they need someone to talk to, I'd be there to talk to them. Or if they need help with something, or if they want to go to a meeting with me, or I could pray with them even, whatever I can do. Bring them to church, try to be a positive role model for them, and try to keep them away from the drugs. But just be, let them know that I care about them. Also, just like I said, help anybody. And it feels really hard to have lost a son, but I can be, people can help me that have lost people too, and they understand what I go through, because there's so many people out here that have lost sons or daughters, or some people have lost mothers, fathers. It goes both ways. It's so sad, but we're all here to help each other and be an inspiration if we can to each other.
This is another part of the Boston Healthcare for the Homeless program called AHOPE. It's a harm reduction and overdose prevention center that allows addicts a safe space to come and be heard and feel comfortable. AHOPE right now. Going inside. This is a overdose prevention center in Boston that my brother used to go to.
Yes, I know. You showed me.
October, yeah.
It is treatable.
Yeah, oh no, no, right.
AHOPE hands out drug-using products like needles, cottons, cookers, alcohol wipes, and etc., hoping to allow the addict a safe and clean injection. But the walls tell another story, with hundreds of faces and names, mostly young people that have passed away from overdoses.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah. I run the Needle Exchange in Boston. I knew Austin really well. I knew him for years. I knew him when he was doing well. I knew him when he was doing not so well. He was one of the kindest people that I met, and I think like that was one of the reasons why I connected so deeply with him. You know, like we care about everybody that we work with, but there are people that like kind of like become like family or like become like, you know, like your person and like, you know, both like your mom and Austin, and you know, like that was they were those people for me. I think that like just watching, you know, like Austin would do well, and like his first initial instinct was always to help other people, sometimes to his own detriment, which is like I remember kind of like lecturing him a little bit, which is like not my style. Like I'm a harm reductionist, I don't really lecture people, but like I just wanted him to make sure that he was like taking care of himself first. That was hard for him to do, and he was like that even when he was struggling, you know. And so like Austin was just he just was like, there was not a bad bone in his body. Like he was just a sensitive, when I say kid, he wasn't a kid, like he was a man, you know. But it's really rare to meet someone who has been through the shit that he's been through, and has lived and seen the shit that he's seen. I hope it's organic, I swear. And still kind of like have that compassion and kindness that's just completely intact. That was just like, it defined his personality, you know?
The corner of Harrison Ave and Mass Ave, one of the most depraved spots in the heroin epidemic, happens to be right across the street from a church. The same church that my brother went to before he passed away. My mom and I now attend that same church to this day. Despite the heavy drug presence and overdose epidemic, the rates are still high, and the church's presence can only dwindle the numbers so far. The church efforts can only alleviate this to a slight degree, but outside of those church walls, the reality sets in, and we realize that people are doing what they do, chasing what they chase, regardless of the presence of a church. How do you think the church can be more involved in the drug crisis, being so close to where it's taking place?
I believe the church can be more involved by first striking up a conversation. I believe, you know, getting closer to the community, talking to people, building relationships with people from the community. I believe that's the first barrier. I believe the second barrier would be to, you know, do something about it, you know. And I think one of the easiest ways to do that would be to join something that's already, you know, in place, which we have our street ministry, which happens every Saturday. People could get more involved. It's an easy plug to connect with that community and build relationships and better understand the issues, or better understand the issues that's going on with the community, and better see and understand or figure out ways to help.
Where are we right now, Mom? Mass Ave? Mass Ave, one of the most well-known and most drug-populated areas in Boston. Walking down the strip, you will hear drug names being called out for sale. drug deals being made in front of your eyes, people slumping over, police presence, officers, containing or harassing addicts on the streets. It's a crazy situation. We are at Boston Health Care for the Homeless, a place that tends to the needs of homeless and drug addicts alike. They have a room on site called The Spot, which is basically a safe injection site, as well as a pharmacy, therapy, and different doctors for appointments. They also have hospital-based rooms on the second floor to keep people overnight. This is my mom sending some money up to a friend who is staying in one of those rooms. What are some good and bad things you see on the streets in the areas that are heavily populated by people in addiction?
I don't know, the good things is like there are people out there that are offering food and water and clothes to these people who are addicted and messed up. There are people who care about them and want to help them. The bad is, it's just seeing them all messed up. It's hard to look at them, seeing them overdose right in front of you, see people yelling for Narcan, the mess on the streets, the trash, the feces, the urine. It's sad. It's just the police watch and don't do anything about it. They just watch and they're all sitting together using, and if an overdose happens, then something happens, but otherwise it's really bad. Something needs to be done to help these people off the streets or get into some programs.
So Mom, what are some of the things you're doing now to get on track from your previous relapses with heroin, and what are you doing to move on?
I am going to meetings, I am staying positive, I'm still not looking at drug dealers. Not calling the drug dealers, I'm not even going near the drug dealers. Just really, praying a lot and doing God's word, doing the right things and staying in touch with my wonderful son who supports me, people who support me in a positive and don't use drugs.
Good. Mom, what kind of hope would you offer to the people watching? Like, what would you say that could change about this drug epidemic? What kind of hope would you leave people?
All I can say is that, if I can try to help an addict and they want to go to detox, I can lead them to the right place, or if they want to talk, or if they, need something to drink or eat, I can help them there. I could also pray with them and just be a positive role model if I can, as long as, they're trying to do
What
the
kind
right
of
thing
person
when I
was
get help
Austin
that they
before
need.
his death?
Austin was a sweetheart. Very much like you and your mother. He was very, very kind, giving. He was a really good kid. I liked him a lot. I miss him. I really do. It's hard. It's hard to talk about him, It's been 3 years, but I don't know. I just really, we connected very well. I don't know what else to say. He was just a really, really good person.
What kind of friend was he to you?
Like I said, he was just really kind. I don't know. I think drugs change people,
What kind of friend was Austin to you?
Austin was a great friend. I remember, having conversations with him in like the early mornings, like talk about all kinds of different things. I remember one of the things he always saw was the best in people. And one of the things I always remember about him is that he never gave up and kept on fighting. So yeah, he was a really great friend and a great person.
Wow, that's really powerful stuff. Thank you for sharing your experience in words, and thank you for just being my mom, allowing me to still have you in my life. Even though you've had your faults and mistakes and you've been through some stuff, you're still alive by the grace of God, and you haven't given up the fight. And guys, this is a serious thing to admit. Like, my mom, overdosed and basically was pronounced dead until they brought her back to life with Narcan just recently. Like, we're talking this week or 3 or 4 days ago. So I mean, we don't know what people that we love are up to outside of our view. We don't know what they could be doing. We don't know how to save them. We don't know if there's something more that we could exactly be doing. But the point of it all is to be there for them, to check up on them, to see how you can be there. Like, my mom could have died on me and I would have been devastated. I would have had no idea, but praise God that he saved her life, and that she now has me responding even stronger to say, I will be there for you. Whatever you need, let me know, so I don't have to lose my mom to an overdose or these drugs that are so terrible and evil and killing people each day. So I thank God, and only by the grace of God is my mom still here fighting another day. She's actively fighting this addiction, and she's not alone. But when you're out there by yourself, you can feel like you're alone, and you can make some not so great decisions that could cost your life. So it's important to spend every moment you can with your loved ones, check up on them, be there for them, and just love them with everything you have. Thank you for listening. This is the park that my brother overdosed at 3 years ago today. If there's anything that I could say to keep people away from using drugs, is to receive the Holy Spirit through Jesus Christ and be around loved ones and family that you will feel good around, that will keep you from using drugs. I think that we can keep each other from using any kind of abusive substances by showing love and support enough that you don't feel like you have to use those anymore. Austin was my brother.
Austin was my son, and I think to prevent overdose, we need to always carry Narcan so we can bring the person back. And also to prevent overdose, I believe that, we need to love one another, build a relationship, and show that person that you really care about them and would do anything to help them in the meantime. Just always tell them that you'll help them no matter what. And if they don't want the help, just be there for them. Don't give up on them. Never give up. I just believe, you have to show them the way, maybe too, to tell them that God loves them and that, He is the only way to have your heart full. And just, I don't know, just be there. Just really be there for the person. And that's all I can say.
so sorry for you. I'm hurt for you, you know? I'm so sorry.